Welcome to another 10 to 20 with Tanya. I'm teacher Tanya, and I'm an ESL English teacher and a nomad. A nomad is someone who doesn't live in one place, but rather they move from place to place. And there are different types of nomads. I am a nomad who lives on wheels. I live here full time in my school bus that I have made into a tiny house. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, and the traditions that we have here in the United States so that you can learn a little bit more about American culture and learn vocabulary and phrases along with me. And if you're here live, you can ask questions in the chat and I can answer them for you live. And if you're listening to the recording, you can do that in the comments below. So, in addition to telling you kind of the traditions of these holidays as they usually are, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I am experiencing them as a nomad, since this is my first time living on wheels during Christmas and New Year's. So I actually I was living in my car temporarily, just for a short time last Thanksgiving, but I didn't start living in my car more until March of last year, so it hasn't been quite a year. Welcome everyone who is here live. Let me know where you're listening from, where you're from originally, and do you celebrate Christmas? And do you celebrate New Year's? And when do you celebrate these things? Not celebrated on the same date everywhere in the world. Now, when I say I've only recently learned that, I mean in the last, I guess it's getting 7 or 8 years ago since I've been teaching online. I started teaching online in 2018. Before that, I taught in a classroom. And so most people, all people I knew here in the United States celebrated Christmas on Christmas Day, which we celebrate on December 25th. And so Christmas Eve is the day before, December 24th. Very common to have Christmas celebrations on December 24th and then on the 25th. Now, when I was growing up, I thought everyone did the same because all of my friends and all of my family had a family dinner on Christmas Eve, and they might open one gift. The children, especially, might open one gift. And then Santa Claus came while you were asleep on Christmas Eve. And when you woke up in the morning, Santa Claus had put Christmas gifts under the tree. Now, you might be wondering, why do I have a glove on one hand? It's because even though it's a little cold here, this is very American of me. I have a whole video about ice drinks, uh, cultural a cultural thing about ice drinks in the United States, and you can find it on the American Culture playlist if you wanna take a look at that. So I love iced tea. In fact, I'll have a little now. Have you ever had iced tea to drink? Um, Welcome, Armenia, and it's good to see people Italy, it's great to see people joining me from around the world. Russia, yes, I have learned that in Russia, you celebrate Christmas on the 7th of January, and I think that is true for some other countries as well. I think in Spain, they have I think they call it, Day of the Kings, something like that. The 3 wise men, the kings who came to visit the baby Jesus, which is the story of Christmas. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas at all. I have students in my fluency classes who some celebrate Christmas. For some, it's a religious holiday. For some, it's a secular holiday. I'm going to take my glove off so I can type. A secular holiday means it's not religious. For some, they don't celebrate Christmas. Some celebrate another religious holiday like Hanukkah or something else that they celebrate in the wintertime. And they also celebrate Christmas in a non-religious way. And here in the United States, I was talking a little bit about what I thought everybody did when I was a child. But as I grew, I learned more and more about different holidays that are celebrated around the world and in the United States. Winter holidays, we call them the winter holidays that happen in December and January. So, what winter holiday do you celebrate? I would love to know. In Armenia, it says, yes, we celebrate Christmas, but the main festive in Armenia is in January. The main festivities are in January. It's so interesting to me because in the United States, I would say the biggest holiday of the year in general in the United States is Christmas. Christmas Eve and Christmas, the 24th and 25th of December. A close runner up, so a runner up is something that's right behind that. A close runner up would be New Year's Eve on December 31st and then New Year's Day on January 1st. And we call these holidays the holidays. And in fact, the holidays include Thanksgiving. As we're coming into November, the holidays are Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So there's 5 holidays that happen between the end of November, the very end of November, and the 1st of January. And we call them the holidays because there's a lot of them and there's a lot of things happening. So does that mean Easter is not one of our holidays? Yes, it's just not a part of the holidays. Now, if we're in March and April and somebody says the holidays, then they do mean Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, those things together. But generally speaking, the holidays are those that I just mentioned. Now, I am typing these words that I'm talking about in the chat here live, but don't worry if you can't see them or you don't know how to find them. You can join my free More English Club, which is free to join, easy to join. The link is in the description below. All you do is click on that link, put in your name and your email, and I will send you these words along with their definitions and some examples so you can have them and practice them. And not only those from today, but all of the ones I've done before, which I think is now 30, maybe more than 30. And with the videos and the links that they go to. So you have the vocabulary, not just like a vocabulary list, but you have a video lesson to go along with that. So you can get that at my free More English Club. And if you're just now joining us, we're talking about the holidays to learn some American culture to go along with learning English. It's so important to learn about the culture, and it's important to learn about these things in a story. So, part of the story I'm going to tell you is that my holidays are a little different this year because now I'm a nomad. However, I would say that my holiday traditions have changed throughout my life. Throughout is such a good word to remember. Throughout my life. So I'm going to put that on the vocabulary list. You could also say for my entire life or in my entire life, for my entire life or over my entire life. Um, for as long as I have been living, for as long as I have been living, my holidays have changed. For some people, I would guess that for a lot of Americans, their holidays have been more traditional. And depending on where they live in the United States, the middle of the country tends to be more traditional, where the coastal areas, the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, are also traditional. Of course, there are people that live there that are very traditional, but they might be a little less traditional than in the middle of the country. So, how about you? The holidays that you celebrate, have they been the same all of your life or have they changed over your life? And you might be asking, Tanya, why are you asking me this question? I want to learn English from you because when you type things in the chat, in the comments, and I type with you, we are having teeny tiny, this means very small, teeny tiny conversations, little chats. And this is so good for your English learning because when we are chatting, when we are talking, it tells your brain, remember this, this is important. And so it helps your memory. So tell me, one of my questions was, what winter holiday do you celebrate or have you celebrated in the past in December or January? What do you celebrate now? And are they the same? Have they changed over your lifetime? So let me see what folks are saying here live. I think I've seen most of them. In Italy, we celebrate both Christmas Eve as well as Christmas and New Year's Eve. They are really important for Italians. The same here. So I'm curious, Danila, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Do you celebrate the same dates? I'm sure for New Year's you do, but for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, are they December 24th and 25th? And do you have a January 6th or 7th holiday? Um, and for anyone listening, I'm curious about these things. So, one thing that for sure is tradition, I think for almost everyone in the United States and probably in many parts of the world, is these holidays are about family. And Thanksgiving especially is about family. On Thanksgiving, no one I know gives gifts. It's more about being grateful and spending time with your family. There's a lot of history to that, which is quite controversy. Quite controversial is the correct way to say that. And I have a video on that. I don't think I've put it down below yet, but I will make a note for myself to put the video about the controversy around Thanksgiving because a lot of people don't know that. And I have a video about that. So I'll make sure I add that video after the live. But I have a lot of other holiday videos that I've made in the past couple of years below that you can watch after this one. And and then but there's not really gift giving on Thanksgiving. For, Christmas is really a lot about family. I would say, yeah, Thanksgiving's the most about family. Christmas is also really a lot about family, but also about gift giving and celebrating. For some, the religious, story of the birth of Jesus. For others, it's more about the holiday and giving and those kinds of the lights of Christmas, there may be metaphorical meaning for me. For example, um, I grew up with the religious celebration of Christmas that I still celebrate, even though I'm more spiritual now than religious. And I still, for me, celebrate the idea of the light coming into the world, into the darkness of the world, which for me is what Jesus taught and many other spiritual teachers have taught. And for me, that's the focus of Christmas is this metaphor, if you will, of the light and the Christmas lights and the candles. And I know this is true for some other holidays or um, traditions as well. And I'd love to know if that has any significance for you. Welcome, Klaus. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. You may have been here, but it's great to see you here in the chat. And then New Year's for people in the United States, for most people, again, not everyone, I've said this before, but when I say the United States, this is a huge amount of people, more than 300 million people. And so not everybody is the same. Lots of Americans are from other countries, and for sure, most Americans have ancestors from other countries. Almost all Americans who aren't Native Americans. So, of course, there are a huge amount of Native Americans, and the Native Americans are not the Caucasian Americans like me. I'm a Caucasian American or a European American. The Native Americans also have beautiful ceremonies and holidays that they celebrate. And the Caucasian Americans or the European Americans brought their traditions from Europe. Other Americans have brought traditions from Africa and from Asia and all over the world. So it has become this sort of beautiful connection that is becoming more and more connected. In my short lifetime, I would say for me, there was no connection in the beginning. I was unaware of it. I wasn't taught it. And then as time went by, I started to learn more and more about it. And I'm connecting and bringing all of these beautiful traditions together in my life. And I know there are a lot of other Americans who do that, and some who don't, some who would prefer not to do that. So it's I think, a wonderful thing that we can all choose. Uh, Justin, is it Justin or Lustin says in Romania we have the same holidays. That's so interesting to learn because I will say that Romania is Romanian culture is culture that I don't know a lot about. So I would love to hear about that from you. We say I'd love to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. From the horse's mouth. This just means I'd love to hear it from somebody in Romania or from Romania versus looking online or reading it in a book because I get it straight from you, someone who lives there. Okay, so New Year's Eve tends to be less about family, more about friends, also family, of course, also family, and for some, very much about family. But a lot of people, it is about going out of their home and celebrating out, having dinner or drinks or a party out. A lot of people have a party in their home as well, but other people come to their house. Now, this is true on Christmas. We go to other people's houses on Christmas, and some people go to friends' houses. But I would say most people go to families' homes. And this is one of the differences for me is that my home is now on wheels. And so I do love this part about being a nomad because my girls can come to my home here in the school bus, and it can move. So this Christmas, it might be in one place. Next Christmas, it might be in another place. And probably for New Year's, neither of my girls will be celebrating with me on New Year's. Now, I don't know. Maybe one of them will. That's another thing. Um, a lot of people make their Christmas plans as early as September or October. I typically don't. But in November, I'm starting to make my Christmas plans. And then we will make a more solid plan. A solid plan is more definite sometime in December. And I probably won't even think about my New Year's plans until a few days before, because for me, New Year's Eve is not something I celebrate as much. And I would say that's true for a lot of Americans, even though they celebrate it a lot. It's maybe not as important as Christmas, maybe still very important, but not as important as Christmas. Um, is it Lustin Georga? George, maybe? I don't know. um, says in the I'm right now, I'm not fluent in English. I'm so glad you're here. I would love to talk to you more about fluency. This is one of the things we talk about in the fluency program, our We Speak Fluency program. You can find out more information about it on my website, English Coach 3ts.com. I put that in the chat here. It's also down below in the description. If you go to Classes with Tanya, you'll find all the information about my We Speak Fluency program. And I do have different programs so that if you want a basic program that's very inexpensive, you can start with that program. Or if you need like to add a reading club or to add Zoom classes, you can do different things. And right now, because you're on the live with me, I can offer you a discount is Fluent50 for 50% off of the Fluency program. And I am going to change the prices of my Fluency program for the new year. However, right now you can get that program for 50% off for as long as you're a member. So every month, 50% off for as long as you are a member. George, I wondered because it kind of looked like George. Welcome, George. It's wonderful to have you here. You must have some fluency if you can understand. About how much of what I'm saying can you understand? I'm not going to talk a lot about fluency today because our topic is culture and the holidays. But if you understand a lot of what I'm saying, you have some fluency. Danila says on the 24th, and I believe Danila said she was from Italy. Let me know if I said that wrong. Um, we celebrate Christmas Eve. We do that as well in the United States. Families have dinner together and often go to church on Christmas Day. This is also happens in the United States. People will go to church on Christmas Eve to what we call a candlelight service, where they are so beautiful. Even people who don't typically go to church go to the candlelight service. And on Christmas Day, children unwrap their gifts, and on the 6th of January, we celebrate the so-called Befana, the Epiphany. I know that there are similarities to what you're saying in other countries. Hello, Mary Lou from Colombia says we celebrate Christmas on December 7th. Yes, in Colombia you have the festival of the lights, I think, or the candles. I was just listening to that because my second language is Spanish. It is beautiful. I've only seen it in videos, but it's beautiful. Yes, she says that's the candles nights, Christmas night, and New Year's Eve. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Mary Lou. Thank you for sharing. Um, George says, I understand well, but not speak. If you understand well, then you have quite a bit of fluency and you need to practice your speaking. You're doing that somewhat by doing output. Writing and speaking are both output. Listening and reading are both input. So you need more output and that doesn't mean less input. You need a lot of input, but also you need to add output. And that's why I created those fluency programs, our We Speak Fluency program I talked about, which you can find at my website, which is below. Okay, I am going to wrap up, which means to finish. We unwrap our gifts on Christmas. So to wrap up is a phrasal verb that means to finish, and to unwrap something when we're talking about holidays is to open a gift. And one thing I will say is that there's so much more to the Christmas holidays. So I hope you will watch one of the videos that I've connected. I've put the link below. um, and it's not just children who open gifts. In the United States, everyone opens gifts, and some people give a lot of gifts. In our family, for me especially, I prefer to give fewer gifts, but some families love giving a lot of gifts, and I have a lot of relatives and friends who enjoy that as well. So thank you for joining me today. As I said before, if you want to get the notes on the vocabulary, check out my free More English club below. And I will look forward to seeing you in another live, either here on YouTube or on Instagram soon. Bye-bye.